All right, what's going on, my Harman Pellet stove owners? In this video, I am going to be going over troubleshooting your status light. The little light on your control board that blinks and blinks and blinks. You could have 3, 4, 5, or 6 blinks on that status light. And I read the manual, so I'm going to go over everything that says in the manual and then some with all the research I've done. I've never really had any problems with this stove. And I've owned this stove since 2011. Everything I go over, I'm gonna guess this is probably could fix 80 to 90% of your problems with that status light. Most of it has to do with cleaning your pellet stove or making sure all your seals are tight. And I will show you everything to look at. Just in case you're confused, this is the light I am talking about right here, your status light. When this is on and you have a problem or a fault, this status light may be blinking. One thing I couldn't see in my manual was for a 2 blink status. But what I was seeing when I was doing research on this mainly was to make sure all your doors are closed completely. And even if this door is closed completely, you also may have to change out your door seal. Or if the door seal does not look too bad, you may be able to just adjust that. There's 2 screws right inside here. You can loosen them 2 screws up, and this piece right here, you'll be able to pull this forward or backward a little bit. To tighten it, you're going to push it back just a little bit, tighten them screws back up, and try it again. All right, to test your door seal, you could just take a dollar bill, open it up, stick your dollar bill in there, shut it, and there should be some tension on it. Like I just checked mine up here. There's a little bit of tension. If your dollar bill pulls out of there really easy and you don't feel any tension, you definitely may need to tighten this up. It's real simple though. There's 2 screws, 2 screws right here. You're going to loosen both of them and you'll be able to push this whole piece here back just a little bit. You don't want to push it too far back because then it'll be too tight, but I've done it before. It's not that hard. If you do need a new door seal, I have a video on how I take my door seal off and put a new door seal on. At the end of this video, I'll put my whole entire playlist of this Harman Pellet stove. Same thing with the ash pan. You got to make sure that door is closed and latched. If these doors are not closed and latched, this pellet stove will not burn or will not light. There's one more door you got to check. Now, I have all my shields off. There's usually a shield right here. You got to loosen this screw, and there's a screw up here you got to take out, and you can take this shield off. And right up inside, right here, this is your fines box. If you do not have that on correctly, you could be getting a fault, or your status light could be blinking, and your stove will not burn correctly. Now, it could look like it's on, but here I'll show you at the top because I did take off another cover. You don't have to take this cover off to get to this. I usually put my hand up at the top and I can feel when I get that on. When I can feel at the top to make sure I get that on correctly, but right here at the top of this, that little door, there's a little tab right there. If you don't have that hole over that tab, I've seen where people don't have that hole over that tab and they think they have that shut. It will not be sealed properly if that, but when you reach up in there, you should be able to feel this whole piece that's like bent here over top of that tab. All right, your 3 blink status. If that status light is blinking 3 times, that could be your ESP probe. If you've never cleaned your exhaust, that definitely could be the problem. So either your ESP probe is you're gonna need a new one. And some of the stuff I'm talking about, I'll try to find some of this and put it down in my description. If you need a new ESP probe or a new igniter, maybe even a new control board. Most likely you just need to clean your exhaust and clean your ESP probe. So if you want to see that, watch my end of the season cleaning. And if you just want to see how to clean the exhaust, you can go all the way to the end of that video. And that's how I clean my exhaust out. This right here is your ESP probe. Now I have red wires on mine, and I think there are some with black wires. So if you need to get a new, see, it's right back in there. You just take, I think that's a 1/4 inch socket, and you can loosen that and take that out and clean it. I recommend cleaning your whole exhaust, especially if you've never cleaned it. If you have to change out your ESP probe and you think that is something's wrong with it or it's not working properly, make sure you get one that matches the same color wires you have. So if you have red wires, buy one with red wires. If you have black wires, buy one with black wires. If none of that fixes it, you may want to call somebody to come look at your stove because you may need a new control board. The 4-blink status, that's kind of what I was talking about in the beginning of this video. That is your room sensing probe. If that came unplugged, maybe your kids or a dog or somebody accidentally pulled that off, this stove will not run or it will shut down. That only happens in room sensing mode. So first off, if you're burning your stove up here in room temperature mode, stove temperature mode, it ain't gonna matter. But if you're having problems getting it running, you could try it on stove temperature mode. If it runs fine, maybe your room sensing probe is bad. But if you're running your stove in room temperature mode and you get a 4-blink status, it's because right here, mine looks different because like I said, I have this wired up to a digital thermostat, but you most likely will have just a black wire coming out of here. It's, I don't know what it is, maybe 4 to 6 foot long. Just make sure they're plugged in here. I don't think it matters which side is which, just make sure it's plugged in. I would inspect the entire wire, make sure there's nothing broke, none of the wires are broke. Maybe one of your animals chewed on it a little bit or something. If you have a new puppy in the house or a rabbit and it decided it wanted to eat that wire. Now we're all the way up to a 5-blink status. This only happens if you have this on auto ignite. If you don't have an auto ignite on your pellet stove, you're definitely probably not going to have a 5-blink status. But if you have a 5-blink status, it has something to do with your igniter maybe. You may need a new igniter. I'll show you how to test your igniter. It says in the manual that your stove failed to light 4 consecutive times with a total of 32 minutes. If it does that, you will get a 5-blink status. I suggest first just try turning your stove off on that selector switch there in the control board. Turn it off and then just turn it back on and see if it lights up. If you have damp pellets, maybe your damp pellets might have something to do with it also. Or if the igniter is bad, that definitely is going to be your problem if you have a bad igniter. Now to test the igniter, it's not going to be that easy. You're going to have to go watch my video on how to replace your igniter and then you'll be able to test it when you watch that video. But I'll show you how to test it because I have another igniter, one of my old igniters. It's still a good igniter. So you watch my video on how to replace your igniter, and when you get in there and you do unplug it, there's 2 wires. They're both the same color. Now the wires in the back are different color, but I mean, you'll see that in my video. You're going to need a multimeter. I got two different multimeters. Like this one here I bought at Lowe's, and this one here I think I got off Amazon. I can put both these down in the description or just go buy one at Lowe's. All right, we're going to check ohms on this igniter. Ohms on a Harman pellet stove should be reading for this igniter. It says 45 to 53 ohms. Typically they say it runs between 47 and 49. So to check ohms, if you have a multimeter similar to this, we're going to put it, all right, you're going to look on your multimeter, if you have this one or something like this, or any multimeter really, we're going to be looking for that symbol. That's for ohms. So on this one, there's an ohms symbol right here. I could just click it right to there, and that will be ohms. And here on this one, I'm going to put it on 200 with that little ohm symbol. Like that. Oh, another thing, if you have a multimeter like this, you got to make sure, but you can move this red one back and forth, but you got to make sure it's in the side that has the ohm symbol. So maybe you're inside your stove and you got your igniter kind of unhooked or unplugged. It doesn't matter which one, you can put the red or black in either one of these, it does not matter. But now we're going to be checking if this is in between 47 to 49. So just touch the black one and the red one on these little tabs. So there we go. I got about 49 ohms. So that means this is good. 48.9, 49. And it's the same way with my other one. All right, that's the 5 blink status. Now we'll go on to a 6 blink status, which I think that's probably one of your more common ones that people will get. In the 6 blink status, most likely you just need to give your pellet stove a really good cleaning. So I would recommend watching my end of the season cleaning because I clean everything on this pellet stove. Another 6 blink status would be you could be out of pellets. Also, this will not run right either. If you don't have this door shut all the way up here, this is another door to check because there's a safety switch right here. If that safety switch is not pushed down, or I've heard where people will have maybe a couple pellets stuck up here. If I can get a pellet up there, stay. And they go to shut this, and maybe they just walk away and they don't even realize their door's like that. I think you could get like a smaller pellet up here, maybe one right over here. There, now it looks like it's closed, but that switch may not be all the way down. I could even shut that and think it's closed, but it's not if I have a pellet sitting right there like that. So make sure this is all cleared off. If you end up running out of pellets, dump some more pellets in your hopper, and you're going to come down here and turn your stove off. Just wait maybe 30 seconds and then turn it back on. And then it should try to relight. If your fire is not that big in your burn pot, here's another thing. You may need to just adjust. This feed adjuster dial right here will tell your stove how much pellets to push into that burn pot. If I turn this up, I'm going to have more pellets in that burn pot. If I turn it way down, I will have a lot smaller fire and a lot less pellets in that burn pot. With your 6 blink status, there's a couple other things you could check. So let me go over them. It says in the manual, you could have a blocked or partially blocked flue, or you could have a blocked or partially blocked air inlet. So the first 2 things, you're just going to want to make sure your exhaust is cleared out. Maybe go outside, make sure there's nothing at the end of this. If a bird or something didn't get in there and get stuck in there and clog that up. And if you have like a cold air intake, you got to check this also on the outside. Make sure there's nothing blocking it. Here, I pulled mine out. Mine's not in there right now, but that cold air intake is going to go right here. And if you pull that out, there's a little flapper here. If this flapper is not working, your stove is not going to work or burn correctly. You have a 6 blink status definitely if that stays shut. So make sure that's working. Another thing to check if you have that 6 blink status is make sure you got inside your burn pot cleaned out. If this is completely filled up with fines or ashes, that is going to give you a 6 blink status. So there's a door, you can see it right down there. There's a wing nut here and a wing nut there. You loosen those 2 wing nuts off and this little door will come completely off. You'd see that in any of my cleaning videos. But I just take my shop vac and put it in there and vacuum all that dust out. Another thing you need to make sure of is all these little holes need to be open, because that air comes in here and that air is going to blow up through here. That's what's giving your pellet stove oxygen to keep burning that fire. So make sure all these holes are cleared. I think they go all the way down to here. In my cleaning video, I take like a little nail and stick in there. Another thing you may need to check, your combustion fan right here. If you take this piece and push it up or tap on it with a hammer, you can take this cover off and those little fins in there may need cleaned. If that's all clogged up, that may be another one of your problems. All right, that's about it. So pretty much to sum this entire video up, if that status light is blinking, probably 80 to 90% of the time, if you just give this stove a really good cleaning, it would probably fix that. Sometimes you can just turn it off and turn it back on. That may fix it, but then if it comes back, it's probably most likely just needs clean. Or you can do what they call a manual reset which would be just unplugging your stove and plugging it back in. You could also try that, but if it's dirty, it's going to do it again. Like I said, also make sure all your doors are shut completely. The seals are good on them. Make sure your hopper door is shut completely. And that fines door in the back, make sure that's shut completely. If this happened right after you got done cleaning it and you cleaned out that fines box, you most likely don't have it on all the way. Like I said, I'll put at the end of this video and down in the description my end of the season cleaning. It's like a 40-minute video, but I go over everything. If you know anything else, if somebody was having trouble with their Harman Pellet stove and their status light is blinking or not burning correctly, they could check on this Harman Pellet stove. Put that down in the comments. It really might help somebody else out. Well, I hope this video helped you out. Please give me a thumbs up and leave me a comment down below. That really helps me out here on YouTube. Even if you just say thank you in the comment. God bless and have a great heating season.